Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Small School AD on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's Small School Athletic Director. But first, as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, please don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an AD or got a direct connection to. For example, Ohio University. My assistant athletic director got his master's from Ohio University. It's a great program. He had a great experience. We're very happy to have them as a sponsor. All the other companies I've used, and I highly recommend you use them. So take a couple of minutes, listen to the shout outs, then listen to our small school ED guest, then go visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank Home Campus for their support of the podcast. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day for things like scheduling, uploading rosters, communicating with everybody in your program. How about athletic eligibility and clearance? Who doesn't do that every day? Home Campus is going to do all of this and more, and it's going to do it faster. It's going to do it better. It's going to give you a lot of time back in your schedule. To get started, just go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. We also want to thank SnapRaise. If you're looking for a fundraiser, you can stop right here. SnapRaise is hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with tremendous success because it works. Coaches loved it. Our parents loved it. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you've found it. Go to snapraise.com. We'd also like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to tell your school's unique history and share your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd like to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I wanted a platform that was going to work for all of our teams, and Huddle came through like a champ. Our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided us. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. You know, kids and even parents are on social media today. And if you're not promoting your athletes and programs, you're really missing out. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class content in no time. And it's so easy, even I can do it. Gipper's used and trusted by over 4,000 high school and college programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables, and their video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their scoreboards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to see all the things that their products can do for you. We want to thank the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration for their support. This affordable 20-month online program focuses exclusively on athletic administration. You're not only going to have your master's when you're done, you're going to have 11 NIAAA leadership training courses to use towards your CAA or your RAA. You're also going to be part of a nationwide network in athletic administration. To get started, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more, but I will. Hometown is digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. Go to hometownticketing.com. The Hometown team is going to help you make the best online ticketing solution. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for student athletes, for parents, for coaches, and the information that came back um, was extremely valuable because it included not just the people you already hear from, the complainers, but the 98% that supports your program. And when you're meeting with a frustrated parent, it's good to have that data. When you're meeting with your principal or your school board, it's good to have. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Small School Athletic Director. This is our new weekly series where we visit with athletic directors at smaller schools. Typically, these are 300 students or less. And they get to share some of the lessons that they've learned on leadership and management that are applicable at just about any level. We're going out to the West Coast today, and we're going to visit with Steve Stokes. He's the longtime coach. He's the director of athletics at Carondelet High School, Carondelet, and that's in Concord, California. If you haven't heard of their school, I encourage you to do a little Google search. Very impressive campus and facilities and history. And we're excited to hear what Steve has to say. So, Steve Stokes, welcome to Small School AD.
Thank you for having me, Jake. It's an honor to be here, and I've learned from so many of the athletic directors out there, and just to be able to pay it forward is a great opportunity.
Well, we were talking before we started recording. It's spring. It's a busy time.
Yeah.
Share a little bit about your history and also the setup at Carondelet to give some context. And then you've got kind of a unique presentation today based on your previous experience before you got to Carondelet. So
Yes.
tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had a passion for athletics since forever, and the day after high school is when I got my first high school coaching job, and I served as a basketball coach for 17 years. And of those 17 years, 13 of them were at really small schools, including the very first one. And it taught me at a young age that we have to be able to build some good relationships. We wear a lot of hats, and you need to think outside the box a little bit to get the most out of the small school. And then that eventually what my first time as an athletic director, it was when I was a head coach at a small high school in Santa Barbara. And I ended up becoming the athletic director and the head coach at Providence in Santa Barbara. It's a preschool through 12th grade, about 300 total students. There's about 75 high school students there. And again, it taught me all the relationships that are required that you need to build, and kind of thinking outside the box to make sure that you get the most out of not just the high school, but the middle school and the elementary athletics. And then I ended up going to a high school in Santa Monica that was a K through 12, about 500 total students. 300 of them are high school students. And because of all the things that we were able to learn and develop and on how to build the athletics department, it led me to Carondelet, which has a very rich history of athletics background. And honestly, all of these moments in a very highly competitive athletics department, I'm able to do some of these things much better because of the experience that I've had at the small schools. That has helped me, be prepared for this. If it was in reverse and you started off at a big school, went to a small school, it'd be much more challenging. So.
Well, taking a look at your current position at Carondelet, what are some of those lessons that you brought with you from those smaller school environments? 75 kids, 100 kids in the high school.
Yeah, I think the relationships that you build are vital with various departments. And I think at the school with 75, there you had to wear so many different hats. Like, we didn't have a facilities department. We didn't have, all these other groups that were there. Like, that was all on me. And so, and to be able to get creative, not because we had no facilities there as well, there or in Santa Monica, you had to build a good relationship with people within the community to get the best for our students. And I think that all of those where you're used to wearing many different hats and trying to be creative, not just with athletics, but multiple different areas and helping our student athletes balance the different passions that they may have. I think it's really helped prepare for the much where we have now 18 sports, and we have a very high percentage of those that are student athletes, and it's very competitive as well. And so to be able to take those experiences with those close relationships and all the different roles that you have to fill at a smaller school, and there's different challenges. Where we have zero facilities at one school, and now we have these great facilities at another school. Like, just because it's different, it doesn't mean it's not a challenge.
Looking at your time either at your present school or at one of the other schools, can you think of an example where one of those tools that you just shared, really paid off and allowed you to not turn a challenge in a disaster, but a challenge into a victory?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one bigot from going from Santa Barbara, where there were 75 high school students to the school in Santa Monica, I think we were able to get a lot of very good, high quality facilities for the school in Santa Barbara because of that relationship that you created with that community. And then guess what? And the same is true for all these three different schools. You don't come in and it's like, this is the way we do things. Like, you're asking questions and you're the one that needs to adapt to make sure it's the good fit for the school. And the same thing was the transition when we were going into Santa Monica. They did things completely different as far as, like, getting the facilities. And because we wanted to do the best, even though it was outside the box, I actually, in order to create an opportunity for that, I joined the Facility Sports Advisory Committee with the city. And all of a sudden we were able to get these top-notch athletics facilities where that was a real challenge before. Like tennis, for example, before I got there in Santa Monica, they never hosted a single tennis match in school history because they didn't have a facility for it. And by the time that you build those relationships and you start to do some different things within the community, the facility that we were able to get for our tennis program, all of a sudden, I think our league wanted us to be the host of the league finals every year for tennis because of the quality facilities that we were able to find with the relationships that you end up building. So, you do everything that you do is to give the student athletes the best experience possible, and every sport matters. So it was really valuable. And you know what? Those relationships are huge.
Yeah, boy, you made me think of my own school. Before I retired in Tallahassee. We had a good program, but facility improvements go in cycles. And when we got to our tennis program, um, those kids and the parents, were just so appreciative.
Oh yeah.
The new courts, the new nets, the windscreens, the bleachers, promoting their program, which we always did. But we got some of our other teams to come down for big, let's say, rivalry tennis matches and fill the stands. So very good stuff. Steve, relationships is one of the most frequently mentioned tools in our
Yes.
toolbox books. Um, if I kind of opened up our little small school formula here and said, what's one more tool that you would want to give a new AD? What tool would you share?
I think the relationships is top of the list. I mean, it's something that you really want to make sure that you have a good relationship with your business office, with everybody across the board, faculty, staff. Um, I do think something that's really important, though, beyond all these relationships, I think relationships are number one. But if you wanted a different one, I think something that's really important at small schools, whether it's sixth grade through 12th grade, K through 12, whatever it may be. I think based on my experience personally, and then what I know about some other schools as well, middle school athletics and elementary school athletics can be very challenging because, and while I know high school athletics gets gets all the attention, it's finding ways to make sure that the middle school and elementary school athletics programs are well run to be able to give them a great experience from a young age. And I know especially when you have no facilities, trying to manage and balance that is a challenge. But I think when you make it a priority to develop the culture within not just your high school program, but your whole school. That's why we kept doing it at a young age. I remember, when I was in elementary school, I never played basketball before in my life, but you kept doing it because of you found a love for the game, even when you didn't know how to dribble a ball yet. And so creating these experiences, that's how you end up building your athletics department as a whole. Is making sure that you build a culture in the middle school and the elementary school as well.
Oh, I love it. Great stuff. Steve, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, see how you do things at your school, or just add you to their network, which networking is another big tool in the toolbox, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can get a hold of me. Email is stokes@carondelet.hs.org. And you could also track down that number if you go to our athletics website, the carondeletcougars.org as well. So,
All right. Steve Stokes, Carondelet High School. That's in Concord, California. Thanks so much for stopping by at Small School AD, and all the best as we move forward to wrap up the spring season and the 2023-24 school year.
it was a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Jake.
Oh, well, thank you. We want to say thanks to our listeners. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this every single week and also try to share best practices just about every day with our other segments. So come back next time for another Small School AD and the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Once again, I go check out Carondelet. That's Cardond, Dondelet, Carondelet High School, Concord, California. Great stuff. Before we go, as always, let's say thanks to our sponsors and go check these sponsors out. You will be very glad that you did. Snap Raise, Hometown Ticketing, Sideline Interactive, Home Campus, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, Huddle, Gipper, the Ohio University Master's Program, K-12 Sports Tech, and Athletic Surveys. All great companies. You should be using them. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on Small School AD on the Educational AD Podcast.